Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you all to this Friday, December 2nd, 2022 DBCC Zoom meeting. I'm Barry Cowan, your host and the club president for about 18 years now, and just flew in from Chicago, and boy, are my wings tired. So I hope your Thanksgiving went exceptionally well, and I know Thanksgiving was a great time for me. As you know, Beverly has dementia, and a terrible thing that I don't wish on anybody. And so we went to her nurse's home and we had a great dinner with her family. And it's great to sit around the table and eat turkey rather than being with a bunch of turkeys. It's a lot safer on the table. So that being said, good morning, Barry. It's nice to see you. Thank you for coming. And of course, there are still a lot of holiday shopping going on. I did some on Cyber Monday and of course Black Friday, but that doesn't mean anything anymore. You should know that the final total, according to most sources, for the Black Friday and Cyber Monday holidays set a new record, $11.3 billion. Wow. That's through Amazon, through Target, through Best Buy, through everybody. Shoppers did not hold back, even though the economy was presenting its issues. The supply chain was presenting its issues. I think they just wanted to get the feeling of freedom that they could spend again. And of course, now January becomes paying everything off with higher interest rates. I hope that doesn't hurt too many people. Remember that in 2 weeks, we're going to have our Zoom holiday party on December 16th. So please try to clear your schedule so that you can attend it. You can look at the video we had of the last one. It's up online. I think I have 146 videos up there now on the board. So let's, before we introduce the guest speaker, I want to encourage you to use the chat board to post your questions and any comments that you'd like to make. Remember that our guest speaker always appreciates comments below their videos, and if you have not already done so, you can make it your business to support the club by going to any one of our videos on the YouTube channel, going to the right-hand corner of the video where you'll see immediately when you use your mouse or your finger or whatever, it will pop up with a little icon of the club in the corner and the red subscribe word. Once you do that, we get credit with Google and the other search engines in ranking by having more members. So right now we've got 16 in, and my view is I'd rather have quality than quantity. I know you're all quality people and you're anxious to hear today's guest speaker. So let me take a moment here and let me introduce today's guest speaker, Jerry Rogan. Jerry Rogan is president of the Sunland Spring Village Technology Group in Mesa, Arizona. He formerly served as a software engineer for the U.S. Air Force, was the president of Industrial Services of Iowa, the international sales manager, Eagle Technology, and the CEO of Soft Souls Limited in North America. After a long career in the software industry, he is happily retired and currently splits his life between Iowa and Arizona, where he enjoys golfing all winter long. His last presentation in November got rave reviews on using iOS 16 on the Apple and iPad. So I know you're in for an informative and highly entertaining presentation. So Jerry, welcome. Let's give him a sitting ovation here.
All right,
for getting up that early in the morning in Mesa. And anytime, sir, you may share your screen.
All right. Oh, first of all, thank you for having me again. I hope all of you had a nice Thanksgiving. I like when Barry goes through my introduction because it reminds me of what I used to do. I've been retired so long, I've forgotten. So if you'll give me a minute, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started.
Yeah, retirement's the best job I never had.
That's right. All right, I'm going to do a little cleanup on my screen here. There we go. Can everybody see the slideshow now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk today about the app on your iPhone called Health. It's an app that gathers health data on your iPhone, your Apple Watch. There's several apps you might have on your phone that also feed health that you're unaware of. So we're going to take a look at that. If you have any questions, as Barry said, let's go ahead and just put them in the chat room. And if we need to go live to demonstrate something, we can certainly do that. Now, for what it's worth, the Health app on your iPhone, in case you've never seen it, looks like this icon in the upper left corner. It's just a white square with a red heart on it. That would be for the Health app. Now, what do you need to get going on this? You really don't need anything other than your iPhone because it is a valuable tool by itself, but it also works with the Apple Watch and some other devices. So we'll take a look at that in a little bit as well.
I'm going to get my Apple Watch. I'll be right back.
Yeah, what does it do? The canned statement is health puts important information at your fingertips, including your health records, medications, labs, activity, and sleep. And it makes it simple to securely share that information. We're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. But one of the main concerns that people express with the Apple Health app is it secure? And I'm going to say absolutely. Everything that you enter is encrypted and secured. Nobody can get to it except you. And it's important to know that. So there might be one exception, and I'll talk about that in just a second, but everything is secure. You don't have to worry about the data that goes in there regarding your health. There is a medical data screen. If you look on the right side of your screen, you'll see it shows your name, your birth date, any medical conditions you have, allergies and reactions, your medications, your blood type, your weight, your height, and then below that it will list emergency contacts. This information is available to first responders. So should you become unconscious or something and you're getting help from firemen, policemen, ambulance crews, they can, with your iPhone, get this information. If you, and I'm often asked, how does that happen? If somebody grabs your phone and they turn it on by touching the screen or whatever they do, and your face isn't recognized or they don't know your code, they will be presented with that code screen where they can enter a code. And even though they don't know it, if they look at the lower left corner of your screen, it will say emergency. And if you touch that, this is the information that the first responders will see. So they know who to contact, they know your general medical condition, and it gives them a start on treating you. But that is the only information that is not fully encrypted. What does Apple Health track? Your activities, how many steps you've taken today, how many calories you've burned, how many times you've stood up in a day. So it'll track things like that. It'll track body measurements, height, weight, and a whole bunch of other things that you don't have to put in, but you can, not necessary. Cycle tracking. From the pictures I saw as we started this meeting, I don't think too many are interested in that, but that would be to track your menstrual cycle. So, you know, when it's a good time to get pregnant or not. I don't use that one myself, so.
I prefer a Kawasaki. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Hearing, I was at a card club the other night playing cards, and all of a sudden my iPhone went off. Somebody told a joke, we all lost it. We cracked up. The noise became so loud that I actually got a warning on my iPhone telling me that I'm in a high noise area and I should put earplugs in. But that's the type of thing you'll see there. Heart, we're going to talk more about that. A lot of information on your heart and AFib and so forth will be discussed. Mindfulness, I just get a kick out of that because that's the thing that comes up and says, okay, take a couple of deep breaths and just clear your mind and just sit and relax. I don't use it a lot, but my partner does, and she finds it relaxing. Mobility, nutrition, respiratory, sleep, symptoms. We're going to talk about all these things in a little bit. But there's a great amount of information that can be used, but doesn't necessarily all have to be used. You can also track all your health records, your allergies, your clinical vitals, conditions, immunizations, lab results, medications, and procedures. Some of this information can be added into the health app by your physician. So I'll show you how we do that. Okay. One of the newer features, now, whether all of these features are available to you or not really depends on how old your iPhone might be, but the medications is a fairly new thing that's been added, and I think it works on the, I think iPhone 7 and above or something like that. Anyway, I used to use the alarm setting to set an alarm off at noon to remind me to take a pill. Well, I've now switched to the medication reminders. It comes up on your phone or on your watch that it gives you a very gentle signal and tells you it's time to take your meds. And if you don't, it will continue to respond until you say skip or I've taken them. I find that much more convenient than setting an alarm that I sometimes would turn off and it would not come back. So we've got medication reminders. The other thing that happens is it can monitor harmful drug interactions. So if one doctor prescribes one drug to you, and maybe there's a conflict with another drug, the health app will notify you of that. In my case, it came up, I take gabapentin for foot pain. I'm diabetic. And it came up and told me that that's dangerous to use with alcohol. So I quit taking gabapentin and I stick with the alcohol now. Okay, managing your sleep. You know, we all go to bed at night and we wake up in the morning and we know if we slept well or not. But I decided to try this myself. And so I wear my Apple Watch to bed. And it's amazing, but it will come up and tell you how long you were awake at nighttime, what your REM sleep was, what your core sleep, and what your deep sleep was. And actually, after doing that several nights, I found it kind of interesting. Sometimes it says I was awake 6 times and I don't remember any of that. And sometimes it's just for a minute or two. My deep sleep personally always comes a half hour after I'm in bed, and I don't know why. But it will show you a chart like this on the right on your phone and on the left on your iWatch. And it's rather interesting. I said, we all know if we sleep well or not, but this tells you what kind of sleep you got, maybe how many times you were awake and so forth. So it's a nice feature. Here's a biggie. AFib. Atrial fibrillation occurs most frequently in us older adults, and the health app can track your lifestyle factors that may influence your condition. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit, but AFib is one of the things that the Apple Watch will detect and send it over to the Apple Health app. You can share your information with certain facilities. For example, back in Iowa, we have Unity Point hospitals. My doctor, my general practitioner, is a Unity Point member. When I go in to see my doctor, I've shared my information with Unity Point. So he gets through with his clinical notes on my visit, and maybe it's an annual checkup. The same day, those notes are all posted on my Apple Health app. If I go in for labs, the lab results are posted to my Apple Health app actually long before the doctor normally calls me. So you can share, you decide what you want to share and who you want to share it with. You can share your medications, blood glucose, walking steadiness, cardio fitness, and other mobility metrics with providers. And the doctors can share that information with you. It does work with most systems that doctors already use. As I said, the doctor can put his clinical notes in your Apple Health, or they may go into like Unity Point. There's a thing called My Chart. They'll post it in there as well, but it's all encrypted and very safe to share. You have instant access to your records. You just go to the health app. If you want to see what immunizations you've had, click on immunizations, and it lists all of the shots that you've had. Before I came to Arizona, I got my third booster for COVID. By the time I got to Arizona, the pharmacy had posted the record that they gave me the shot, and it was already on my Apple Health app. I mentioned the Apple Watch a little bit. What else does it work with? The Garmin Connect. And some of these I've never heard of, but Polar Flow, Y Health, whatever that is, the Samsung Health, but not the Galaxy 4 watch. Withings HealthMate, Whoop, Amazfit, Upright Go to Posture Trainer, and also certain Fitbits will work with Apple Health. So if you don't have an Apple Watch, but you've got a Fitbit, a lot of your exercise information and so forth will be passed to the Apple Health app. So the Apple Health is tied to other devices besides the Apple Watch. Now, the debate between buying an Apple Watch, a Samsung Galaxy Watch, or a Garmin watch starts and ends basically with what type of phone you use. If you own an iPhone, the Apple Watch is the best smartwatch you can get, without any doubt. But if you use an Android phone, you've got more options. The Galaxy Watch, Google's got some ecosystem, Samsung's got some wearable technology. So where you can get a Samsung watch and Samsung phone, and they talk to each other like the Apple Watch talks to Apple Health. So this presentation, while it's mostly on the Apple product, keep in mind that if you're an Android person and you use all Samsung devices, that's fine. Get online with their health app because it can save your life sometime without you knowing it. Ron Brown does I don't know if you know Ron Brown, he's one of the leaders of the Tech for Senior group, and he does a lot of presentations, and a lot of his presentations are on YouTube. He talks quite a bit about the different types of wearable technology. In today's world, you owe it to yourself to take a look into wearable technology or wearable health technology. Now, I'm going to talk now about a little bit about how the iPhone integrates with the Apple Health app. Now, this screen shows a picture of my Apple Watch, what it normally looks like. And of course, there are hundreds and hundreds of different faces you can put on the Apple Watch. This is how I've set mine up. So I've got a little green dot on my watch face. That's for messages. I can send messages, receive them. I've got a calendar application. If I touch that, I can add things or take things off of my calendar or just see what's coming up. Lower left, I have a weather app. I can touch that and it'll give me my weather forecast and rain and so forth, which we don't get much in Arizona, but we do in Iowa. So lower right is called activity. And that's where it'll track, if you're going to go on a walk or a hike or a bike ride or play golf or do an elliptical or whatever you want to do. When you touch that, you choose the activity that you're going to do, and it will then record things like your heart rate and so forth. Apple calls these four corners complications. I don't know why. They're not complicated to use, but for some reason, Apple calls them complications. Now, inside of the watch face, I've got these three rings down here that are called activity rings. The inner one is for walking or standing. I'm sorry, how many times through the day have I stood up? The little green one is for physical activity. And the red one is for how many calories I've burned through the day. So if I'm a good boy, by the time I go to bed at nighttime, all three rings will be totally complete. I'll be the first to tell you that doesn't happen every night, but I try. Okay, off to the right, you'll see a heart-shaped thing. That's for your heart rate. If you touch that while you're wearing the watch, it will come up and tell you what your pulse rate, your heart rate is. Sometimes when I'm out riding my bike, I'll attack a large hill. By the time I get to the top of the hill, I'll feel my chest pounding. I will actually stop and check my heart rate, and if it's higher than I want, I'll just sit on top of the hill for a few minutes before I take off and let my pulse lower itself. One of the biggies is on the left called ECG, EKG. You sit down in a chair and you just hold the crown of your watch for 30 seconds and it will perform an ECG. Now, I'll tell you a quick story about that. This last summer, I was having some funny feelings in my chest, but they weren't pains. They were just a funny feeling. And I thought, well, I'm going to do an EKG. And it came up and it didn't say irregular heartbeat. It just said inconclusive. I'd sent that EKG to my physician. He called me in for an EKG, and it ends up I had something called PVC or something like that, premature ventricular contraction. Nothing serious. And he said, everybody has it. We don't worry about it. So that made me feel better. The only thing he did was take me off of caffeine. So now I'm drinking half-calf coffee, which doesn't get my engine going too well. But anyway, that's what my watch looks like. So if you touch any of these complications or any of the things in the center of the watch, for example, the activity, again, indoor, outdoor walk, golf, dancing, elliptical, hiking, there are literally hundreds of activities you can choose from. So if you're an exercise fan, you go to your activity room or a gym or what have you, start that and it will keep track of the calories burned, your pulse rate, and everything else. These are the different screens you can get on your watch that tell you what's happening with the activities. And you can set these goals on move and exercise and stand. I've got stand at 12 times a day. I want to be able to stand, exercise and calories burned. I can tell you that stand thing, we might giggle at that, but it's amazing how often you can sit on the sofa and not realize that maybe you've been there for 2 or 3 hours without standing up. So it's kind of a nice feature. Heart rate monitor, again, will tell you your pulse. That's all it does. But it will show you graphically where you're at. So if you've been exercising, you can look at these are watch screens now. You can look at that and tell how high or how low your pulse has gone, what your resting rate is, and so forth. Taking your EKG, ECG, it's just a matter of sitting in a chair, letting your arm rest and holding the crown on the Apple Watch, and you'll get your ECG.
And that can be sent to your physician.
Yes. Okay, now also on your watch, now you can see that you're getting, in 27 seconds, it'll tell you what your heartbeat is. And it'll tell you if you have sinus rhythm or an irregular rhythm, the beats per minute. And it'll tell you if it shows signs of atrial fibrillation or not. So this summer, when I was having those funny heart feelings, I did the ECG on my watch, which fed it into the Apple Health app. From the Apple Health app, I could email it directly to my physician, and which is exactly what I did. And he opened that up, had me come in, and he did an EKG in his office. Because the EKG on the Apple Watch does not do all of the tests that doctors normally do. It doesn't test all the points, but it came out exactly the same. And again, he explained what my problem was, and we all went away. He told me to reduce my stress, and he told me to get rid of some of the caffeine. So it's a wonderful feature. Now, my partner had AFib, and she had an ablation, and it took care of it. And she went back for her annual physical, and the doctor said, I'd like to implant a Watchman into your chest, just so I can monitor if you're having any reoccurrence of AFib. And she said to him, well, I have an Apple Watch that's got the ECG and EKG on it. And at that time, her doctor said, that's fine. If you've got that, you can monitor it. If something strange comes up, email it to me. So instead of having the surgery to have this Watchman implanted, she relies on her Apple Watch, which she wears almost 24 hours a day. She takes it off about an hour in the evening to put it on the charger. You do have to charge it every night. Now, the Watchman has advanced a little bit since then, and I've been told that it watches stroke prevention a little bit closer than it used to. But if you have AFib, we all know AFib can lead to a stroke. So we want to get that taken care of. This is a good way to do it. And even if you don't do the ECG or anything by wearing the Apple Watch, if you do have an irregular heartbeat, Apple will come up and tell you that this ECG shows signs of AFib, but it will also tell you if you've got an irregular heartbeat, at which time you can then do an ECG or an EKG.
Jerry?
Yes.
Excuse me, we have a question from Irving Gershkovich in Ottawa, Canada. He says, which model of the Apple Watch can you find all the features you are describing?
The Apple Watch 7 and up. Prior to 7, you could do most of these things. I had an Apple Watch 4, and I could do everything except blood oxygen. And I got the Apple Watch 7, and now I can do the blood oxygen. Did you have any other questions, Barry?
No, that's it. We had a comment there, but I took care of it. Some people say they couldn't stay for the rest of the meeting, but they just did want to sign in. So I think that's fine.
Well, and again, Barry, when we're done, I will email you a PDF of the presentation,
Yep,
and then you can share that with everybody.
like I did on handouts with your November one on
Okay. All right,
on
good.
iOS 16.
The AFib detection, I actually had that on my Apple Watch 4. So I would say the Apple Watch 4 on up, you'll have that. With the new Apple software upgrades, the operating system upgrades, they've also improved the atrial fibrillation detection. So I think that's one of the most important things I've got. Not the most important, but one of the most important on my watch. This is another one that I think is critical for us senior citizens. Fall detection. If you fall, your Apple Watch will come up with this message that says, it looks like you've taken a hard fall, and you can touch, I fell, but I'm okay, or you can touch, I did not fall, or you can touch SOS Emergency Services. If you have fallen and you're unable to press any of these within so many seconds, and I'm not sure what it is, 30 seconds maybe, Apple will automatically call emergency services and dispatch them to your GPS location based on your watch. Now, sometimes you fall and now you're able to say, okay, I fell, but I'm okay, and you just touch that. But sometimes you're unconscious. The watch will take over, go through your phone and contact emergency services, and you'll be covered. I think that's a biggie. Sue and I were riding our bikes around the lake, and she got off the trail and got back on, and for some reason she went sailing over handlebars, got knocked unconscious. I was there, so I was able to say I fell, but I'm okay. And then I was able to I'm a former paramedic, so I was able to analyze where she's at and go from there. But it's an important feature, fall detection. Now, from the Apple Watch 7 and 8, you have blood oxygen testing. So if you're one of the seniors who tend to have a little, occasionally go low on your blood oxygen, this is a super nice feature that you can just, while you're in your easy chair, just take your blood oxygen level and see exactly where you're at. That's a fantastic feature for you.
Jerry, I have just one question, if you
Mhm.
don't mind. Have you checked the results from the Apple Watch against the accuracy of the examinations and what you get from a physician, and see how
Well,
close they are to what they do as an EKG, for example?
I have, to be honest, when I had the EKG in my doctor's office, while I was laying on the table, I did an EKG with my watch and they matched perfectly. The last physical I had before I came to Arizona, the nurse took my blood oxygen and I said, well, let me see if your machine's any good. And I tested on my watch and they came out within 1% of each other.
Great,
So yeah, I have full faith in them.
thank you for that.
I'm kind of geeky that way. If I have a chance to test something, I'm going to test it. Okay, and then one other very important thing to remember, when you complete any of the medical tests, pulse, EKG, blood ox, whatever it might be, the results are automatically sent to your Apple Health app on your iPhone. So if you're sitting in your chair and you do an ECG or blood ox, as soon as you're done, it's on your iPhone in the Apple Health app. So it becomes a bit of a permanent record for you. And you can share that information again with your physician. Activity is also shared. If you start an activity on your watch, like bicycle riding, when you're done, how far you rode, how long you rode, what your incline rate was, and so forth, is all automatically transferred to your Apple Health app. Now, additional Apple Watch features, yeah, it's a phone. It's an emergency SOS system if you need it. You can listen to audiobooks. It's got your contacts and email. And I always tell people when you go out and you buy one of these watches, whether it's an Apple or a Samsung or whatever anymore, you're not buying a watch, you're buying a wrist computer that just happens to tell time. And I know when I've got a cellular watch now, because I get tired of carrying my phone with, so I'll go out and I'll get a phone call, and all of a sudden I hold my wrist up to my mouth and I start talking. And I feel like Dick Tracy. Those of you who are old enough to remember those days. So, but they're wonderful devices. But again, don't think of it as buying a watch. Think of it as buying a complete health and other information tracking that just happens to tell time.
I have a question here from Larry Hirschhorn. He asks, can the Apple Watch interface with Android?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I've never been asked that question. And Barry, I'm like you, I'm 100% Apple, so I have no way of testing. I would assume, though, that perhaps since we take information from Samsung, that Samsung may take information from Apple as well.
Yeah,
I really have no answer for that.
the big problem is that Android has so many variations on the theme, even though Apple has, many. Android has many more subscribers in the
Yes.
world than Apple does, but there's such variability between watches and other devices. I'm certain that what you're presenting here is relevant. All they have to do is, look up whatever it is. There's tons of stuff on YouTube answering your question, Larry. If not, you can go to.
I'm sorry, but I don't have a definitive answer for that. But you're right, Android, and maybe those of you who own an Android don't know it, but if you have an LC phone and somebody else has a Google phone and they're both, or an LG phone or something, all Android systems aren't the same. And that, to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons that I've gone 100% Apple. No matter who has an iPhone, no matter who has an Apple Watch, if you know the model they have, it's exactly like what you have. So. Yeah, sorry, I don't have that answer, Larry. Okay, there is a rumor out there, and this is one that I'm interested in because I am diabetic, that Apple will soon be able to measure blood glucose. Apple's always been 2 to 3 years ahead of competition in getting things approved by the FDA. And I understand that they have something now submitted to the FDA. And I was talking to Ron Brown about that, and he heard the same thing. So whenever they come out with that, it's not on the Apple Watch 8, but if it's on the Apple Watch 10 or 15, I know right now I've got an Apple Watch 7, and I'll keep that until this feature is out, and I'll jump on it with an immediate order. So, but that's to be rumored.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't figured out quite how they can do that using laser sensors on your wrist instead of pricking a finger. But I'd love to get away from those little needles every time I need to test my blood. So, okay. So I call this the dynamic duo. The Apple Health app is a fantastic program in itself. If you go for a walk and you just happen to have your iPhone in your pocket, it's going to measure your steps and it's going to measure your whatever. But with the Apple Watch, it really measures it much closer. It measures more activities. So I do call this the dynamic duo. I really do.
Right. And there's an app called Cardiogram, which is another one.
Yes, yes. I mean, we can go so deep into this thing, it gets kind of ridiculous. But for example, I went into Canada this summer. Soon I went up there to see my family. And they asked about immunizations. We both brought up the Apple Health app. We showed them the list of all the immunizations we had. And because that list came from actual hospitals or clinics, Canadian Board accepted it fine. We had no issues getting in. So it's nice to have all of this information on your phone so that if something happens to you, other people can access part of it anyway. But it's also nice to be able to bring up and just show it to somebody if you need to. I used to be an Android guy. My wife had a real hard time operating an Android phone. I caved in, went all Apple, and I've never looked back. It's been about 10 years now. So Okay, are there any questions? It's difficult to get all of this done in 40 or 45 minutes. So if you have any questions, Barry has my email address. You can certainly contact me. But as I say, I will be sending out the PDF on this presentation, and we'll go from there. Looks like there's maybe some questions or comments, Barry.
Question now. Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
Yes, I'd like to know why my sleep cycle hasn't been activated on my watch. I mean, on my phone. I don't see any activation that's kept track of it. How do you activate it?
You may have to go through the Apple Watch app on your phone. You should have an Apple Watch app that's available, and you can go to that to activate it.
Oh, that dictates what goes onto your Apple phone?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'd like to comment, Jerry, that during your presentation, I've had my Apple SE and I've been trying to follow it. Now, the SE recently allowed me to get up to iOS 15. And when I followed your comments, I was amazed how much information was in here. And I don't know how it got there in the first place because I don't remember inputting it. So can
Exactly.
you comment on how it's accessing or getting all this information, like hospital records and blood tests and all that stuff?
Well, the Apple SE doesn't have quite all the features that the other phones have as far as the health goes. But for example, when you're walking, there's some device inside the phone that actually knows you're taking steps and it knows you're walking.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's working fine. I track my walking, but I was so surprised to see information about blood tests that I had taken recently. And
Okay,
I
well,
don't remember giving, access to it.
Well, at some point in time, you had to go in and say, okay, I want to share this information or share it with a physician's office or with a hospital. You had to have given them permission for that information to show up.
Mhm. Okay,
As far as I know.
I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, okay. It's nice
Thank
to
you.
have though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a wealth of information, Irving, as you know, on the Apple support site, as well as on the videos that are in the, like the Apple support videos that I've been showing for the months. Tell you everything, show you step by step how to do something. So that's the best guide. I mean, Apple basically stays the same as we go through iterations. By the way, everybody, it has been updated to iOS 16.1.2. And you should update your iPhone or your iPad or whatever as soon as possible, because that does contain security updates, which will be valuable to you, to your phone or to your Apple device, even though it may not apply to iOS 14. And as we were discussing earlier, Jerry, that Apple has now starting to produce out of that Foxconn factory in China that was affected by the pandemic shutdown, recently was shut down again by the Chinese because of the resurgence of the COVID, has now been reopened. And although it will cause a delay in getting the devices out there, that they do want to get them out before the big holiday season, Christmas is coming, Hanukkah. So I
Yes.
think that's a relevant issue.
One comment, the upgrade 16.1.2 is for iPhones only, not iPads.
Okay, there you go. And it's not a large one. From what I saw, it came down. I let it just download over the evening. I just set it to install whenever I'm ready.
Well, even during the day, I think maybe it took 20 minutes and I've got a fairly slow internet here, so.
Okay.
But the iPhone in itself can track an enormous amount of information. How does it do it? I don't know. That's why I pay Apple the big bucks. So they know how to do it. I get to enjoy the end benefit of looking this information up whenever I need it. And I don't mean to plead ignorance, but these are incredible devices. Use them to your fullest advantage, especially when it comes to your health.
We have a comment from Larry Hirschhorn saying virtually nothing is private anymore if it's digital. What's your comment on that, Jerry?
Well, I can only comment on it from the Apple side of things. Apple uses an incredible encryption software. I know of nobody who's ever, if they say something is encrypted, I don't know of anybody who ever got into it. Maybe some of these people from Russia that are attacking us can, but it's one of the reasons I went with Apple was for that additional security.
Okay, Jerry, you can unshare your screen at this time.
All right.
So we can all give you an ovation
Yeah.
for another excellent presentation.
There you go. Thank you, guys. Good seeing y'all again.
Right, and wish you the happiest of holidays, the merriest and the safest and happiest Christmas. And we hope that might even see you on Zoom party, because I'm going to be inviting some speakers.
Oh,
If you're
okay.
available to give a short presentation on items, we're going to do, people are going to dress up, for the holidays like we did. I'm going to do 2023 in review, 2022 in review at the club, and a look ahead at what we might do in 2023. There's this whole lot of stuff that, we can do. We've had 17 people in today, so that's, it's okay. I think it was a very quality presentation, and the quantity is very loyal to the club, and I'm very appreciative of that. So
Well,
stick around, Jerry. We're going to go into chat now. And
I was going to tell you, Barry, you guys were talking earlier about life and so forth. The guy told me the other day, life is a lot like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
Oh my God.
and be careful, because if you ever run low, you don't want to get wiped out.
God, Barry, you should have been in show business. I'm telling you, buddy.
I told you I did 3 years in the penitentiary.
There you go. There you go. I remember. I was your cellmate. Don't you remember that?
I
Hey,
think
listen,
both of
thank
you
y'all very
guys
much.
can do a duet.
Yeah.
We could do, right. We could
Thank
be
you, guys.
laughing. We could be laughing. The
I always
straight
enjoy
man
talking
and
to you. I'm going to
Who's
sign
gonna
off.
be
It's
rowing?
my breakfast time. So
great.
see y'all later. Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
coming, Jerry.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Bye-bye.
Enjoyed it. It was good.
Thank you.
Okay,
you so
folks,
much.
it's back to us. So anybody like to say anything? Feel free to chime in and share with your fellow members. I want to announce to everybody that the next class will be on December 16th. That's a Friday, and that is the last class of 2022. I hope to do a wrap up of the season. We'll be showing some videos and some highlights. We'll be talking about what 2023 holds for everybody. If you want to dress up, we'll be taking pictures. I'll be picking up some other pictures that we've taken over the years with holiday costumes on. You might want to show a background for the holiday. If you're not Jewish, you may be able to show your or whatever, and your Hanukkah bush or whatever. You could show a Hanukkah bush or a menorah. If you're Christmas time, you can show the decorating of your tree in the background, which would be wonderful. The important thing is it doesn't matter what religion you have, it's the spirit of the holiday. And I played Scrooge in 12 performances in college. And as I told everyone, you know me well enough to know it's probably typecasting, but it taught me a great deal about the holidays. And you don't have to be visited by 3 spirits to believe. You just have to believe that there's someone there looking out for you when you're not looking out for yourselves. So, let's see, what else? Well, there's not much more to talk about. I do want to mention, Bob, are you still there? No, Bob left, but there is a very useful program called Tech for Senior. You can go to our club site and look for it under the Fantastic Finds. It's a great presentation that they do. And what Tech for Seniors features is Ron Brown, who is a licensed physician, and he does health apps and everything else. Jerry will tell you that his presentations are really top rate because they're coming from someone who has all of that experience in medicine, actually treating patients. So look for that. You can always go to apple.com and information. You can go to our YouTube channel where I have subscriptions there, all kinds of stuff open to the public. And that being said, I think it's going to be a short meeting today, but it doesn't matter. As I said, quantity is much more important. I mean, quality is much more important than quality. I said that backwards. I'm sorry. So excuse my
We still love you.
Right, I know. Lorraine, are you still there? Okay, she was driving on the way to the Art Basel in Miami, which is a whole celebration of stuff.
Yes, I'm still there.
Good. So where are you now?
I'm on 95.
Okay. And you're gonna, where is it being held? Where do you get off 95?
Well, there's different activity. Art Basel is in Miami, and then there's Art Miami, which is in South Beach. So I'll be going to all of those activities, first hitting South Beach, and then going to Art Basel this evening.
Great, great. So it will be a very cultural experience. Please keep in touch with me about it, especially the Art Basel. Is this like the Basel in Switzerland?
Yeah, it is exactly the same thing. It's a yearly event. Well, with COVID, obviously, that did not happen. But it's a yearly event, and I usually go because you see things that, you'd never have a chance to see anywhere else in the world.
Great. Mike Reeves. Let's hear from you, Mike. I know that please unmute yourself. Welcome.
I have done, but I'm told the sound's terrible.
No, it's fine. You're coming in clear.
Okay.
And did you learn something today? I know you were skeptical, saying, well, I don't have an Apple device, but you see Jerry tied us in with all Android devices. Whether or not you have an Apple Watch is irrelevant. It's the fact of what the health app is there is shown on Fitbits and all other kinds of things that may not be Apple devices at all, that sell very well during the holidays. I did mention in the beginning, 11.3 billion was spent. $11.3 billion during the Black Friday through Cyber Monday. It's incredible to even think of that figure. It broke records, and it shows that people don't really care about the economy, their economy. They just wanted people to be happy during the holiday. And a lot of people, I understand, has anybody finished your holiday shopping already before Christmas?
I usually finish all my shopping by September.
Oh, great. Smart. Very smart. And of course, they have...
Well, remember, my family's in Italy,
Yes.
so I have to mail everything early, so...
Right, right.
I have a comment. I really, I don't have an Apple Watch and I don't have an Apple computer, phone. I'm an Android person, but I would think for us Android people, I would think the Android Watch probably has a lot of the same similar things. So I would hope that it does.
Oh,
anyway,
definitely.
But I was very impressed with the I've fallen thing, because you pay $25 a month for that ugly thing, seniors do to wear around their neck, in case they've fallen. And I'm going to recommend this to people who have Apple Watch, have Apple phones, that perhaps they should buy the Apple Watch, because in my building we have a lot of people. We have lady that's 96 years old. We've had another lady who's, has fallen and broken her hip in our building. So we have a lot of older people in our building. And I'm going to maybe suggest that they look into getting the Apple Watch because I think that would be better.
Send them to appleinsider.com and
Okay.
also to look at the Apple support. There's subscription on YouTube. You can subscribe to Apple support. I've used their videos. Remember, I was afraid I would have a copyright violation, so I contacted the Apple support lawyer directly, and we came up with an agreement. He said, no, if it's free to the public, if it's out there free, there's no problem. There's no copyright conflict. And as you know, when you post something up on YouTube, YouTube now has a bot that searches for copyright violations. We've had 2 examples since we started in June 2020. We've had only 2 copyright hits, and I resolved them all. One was rather difficult. I had to contact a lawyer in California and speak to the lawyer, and we told the clubs, I know you got a lot more money than we do, but don't tell the world about it because the IRS looks at your site too. And if you have a copyright violation, hey, they got 20, 30,000 in the bank. Let's hit them for one violation of 20,000. They can afford it. But we pleaded poverty. We have a very low treasury, just over 2,000 and change, but it's for what we need in an emergency. I wish we could return to the classroom, but that doesn't look feasible in the near future. We might look at that next year. I'm just scared myself because of, I've been a COVID survivor and there's still some effects, but I don't know how everybody feels about it, but we'll talk about that in our Zoom meeting, and we're going to have a board meeting before that class so we can work on things for next year. That being said, does anyone else have anything to contribute? Mike, did you find this informative? Mike, did you find this informative? Did we help with your skepticism at all?
Not really, no.
All right. What a sticky wicket, huh? All right, cheerio out there. Irving, you have something to say, my friend?
No, it was pretty good. It was pretty informative.
See, I speak to Irving on something called Magic Jack. I'm sure you're familiar with that. I would highly recommend it if you want to save a lot of money, because you only pay $49 a year or something, and you can make calls all over the United States and Canada with a Magic Jack device that simply, all you need is the internet. You can take it anywhere in the world. You just plug it into an outlet that has internet, or not wireless, but internet, and boom, you got it. You can talk to anybody. I think it's supposedly something that people should consider. Magic Jack's been around for many years, and you're familiar with it, Lorraine, are you not?
Yes, but I don't use that. I use WhatsApp, and my
Yes.
plan with AT&T, I can call anywhere in Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And most of my family and friends are in France and in Italy. So Magic Jack would be not useful for me.
Yeah, and WhatsApp is
I'd like
something
to
I
just
highly
comment
recommend.
quickly. I'd like to comment quickly that there's a story out there that WhatsApp has been hacked and 500 million people's information is out there.
Well, it's like a vitamin. There's a hack a day. And they can say, well, I did this, but they can hack it. But a lot of stuff on WhatsApp is encrypted. They can only get certain information. That's why I like Apple. Apple has such great security on their devices. Even law enforcement can't get it in many cases, as you found out. There have been court battles on it. They're interested in your security and privacy, which makes it very attractive to me and Apple users, because that's the one thing you want.
All conversation on WhatsApp are encrypted. So
yes,
I've been using this for at least 10 years. Obviously I will not share on a text message, WhatsApp text message, a
Mhm.
credit card number or those types of information. But verbally, I mean, I use it as a phone because I get to call my family every day.
Yeah, I understand that. That's great. Okay. All right. All right, folks, it's been a wonderful meeting. We've had 17 people, which you're all quality people. I love all of you, and that's what keeps me going. I mean, that and besides this coffee, which is on my second cup already today. But I want to thank all of you for attending. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Look for this video to go up tonight or tomorrow. I usually try and get things up early, so everybody can see it. And when Jerry sends me his PDF of the slides today, you'll be able to see them. I think you'll agree that he gives excellent presentations. They're informative, they're comprehensive.
Very,
Yes, Ron,
very much.
what are your last words, Ron? Ron, you unmute yourself, buddy.
Unmute.
It's fine. It's a wonderful meeting.
You did learn
Very
something, right?
informative.
Right, and as I say, all the information is out there. All you need to do is know how to reach it. And even if you're Android, there's tons of stuff on Android sites that will address the exact same thing that Apple has addressed. In fact, Android seems to be more vulnerable. I hear a lot about Android hacking, especially you've got to be very careful in your Google Play Store, as Apple does in the Apple Store, because there are illegal apps out there that are in the store that have not yet been purged. So you've got to be very careful. Do not download apps from illegitimate sources. That's the same warning you would get in email. Don't click on an unfamiliar link. If anything, you can send it to a spam or to the company as a spam or as a phished attempt. I get them just as much as you do. I am not invulnerable to those things either. But I'm getting very, I guess, worried about the amount that's out there that people who are less knowledgeable than we are getting hit with. And of course, seniors might as well have targets on their backs, because that's what it works like. Hey, Barry, how you doing? Good to see you. Where you
I'm
been,
good. How are
Barry?
you?
We missed you. Where have you been?
I had a procedure done, so.
Oh my, I hope you're feeling much better.
Yeah, I'm fine now. Thank you.
That's all that matters. Okay, folks.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Holding together under very stressful conditions, but when I feel bad, someone's always got it worse.
Yeah.
So if I wake up in the morning, it's a good day. If I don't, there's no problems.
Yeah, you wake up, it's okay.
That's it. It's very simple philosophy.
Yeah.
All right, folks, let's say goodbye to each other to 2 more weeks. Stay
Goodbye.
stay
Bye,
safe
everyone.
and healthy.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, Barry.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.